This episode is sponsored by Conjure Tea. Founded by chef Shania Thomas Floyd, Conjure Tea taps into her background as a pastry chef to bring a unique, delicious approach to tea. Look no further than their tea offerings to find delicious blends from Lunar, an herbal tisane with blueberry, lavender, and vanilla, to Decadence, an Earl Grey blend with rose, strawberry, and cocoa nibs. The thing I love about Conjure Tea is that they're bringing unique, delicious flavors that I've never had before. My favorite of theirs is Purge Me, an organic bancha green tea with pineapple, coconut, and so much more. It has the flavor you want from a green tea with the unique and delicious combination of fruit-filled ingredients with a natural detoxifying quality. The company has been kind enough to give 15% off your first online order to all Steep Conversations listeners by using code STEEP15 on conjuretea.com. That's promo code STEEP15 to get 15% off your first order at CONJURETEA.com.
Kiss My Ass is Boos.
Boos.
Lazy.
Boos. Theasy.
Oh my God, you did it!
I'm so ready.
I'm so proud. And it ties in with the theme of the show.
Let me tell you something. I would so happily do stand up in Iraq just to get to say that.
That's amazing.
I feel like they would be like, close.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. You're close.
Brother, it is not actually that way, but you're very close.
Cheers.
Do you have an RBG?
Oh my God. Yeah. Sorry. I have a lot of mugs.
That's amazing. That is delicious.
That's really good.
That's fantastic. Do you know what that tastes like? Celestial Seasonings sugar cookie.
But better.
But
than
much
Celestial
better.
Seasonings. So for those who are steeping at home, my steepers, my steepsies, my steeple. For those that are steeping at home, we are drinking a tea by Hella Tea, which is independently owned tea shop in the Bay Area. Support her. She's great. This is called I Got Chai on it.
So creative. I love these. I love good marketing. I hate
do too.
bad copywriting where they think they're funny,
That's
but the
probably
good ones.
most of my captions on social media. You're like, I don't like bad copywriting. I'm like, that's what I do. Yeah.
That's amazing. I do copywriting on the side, so I'm very particular about copywriting.
I'm so scared for you to see my socials.
We're going to do a full social
Gosh.
download.
Good. Well, okay. So this is a mix of I Got Chai on it. And then this is crazy. So my steepers at home are going to be like, what the hell? But I'm just being honest. You asked for caffeinated. Yes. Chai is predominantly not caffeinated. So we did a mixture.
It's predominantly non-caffeinated?
Yeah. Did you know that chai actually in Hindi just means tea?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I knew that.
Yeah. You're
that's
like
common knowledge.
You're like, I knew that.
Yeah.
Chai is usually a mix of spices. And I love chai, but a lot of chais are not caffeinated. So what we did is we cut this with burn and blend with a hazelnut rocher.
It's delicious.
Isn't it good?
It's so good.
And for the folks at home, steep this at 212. This is like good for 4 minutes, I would say. And throw a little honey in the game if you're fun and steep this to your own delight. But don't oversteep. You haven't been on this podcast before. We're a judgment-free T-zone and JFTZ, so you can kind of do what you want.
I feel great about that. Thank you for not judging me as I sip my chai that's caffeinated or not.
Do you drink a lot of tea?
No.
No,
I do not.
No.
My parents drink a lot of tea. Every night they're drinking it. They drink chai. So in Arabic, chai also just means tea. It doesn't mean chai specifically.
Wait, you said they drink tea every night?
Every night.
I love your parents.
Every night.
Love your
like
parents.
They have their little, they call it istakan, which is like the glass little tea cup thing. Is that what it's called? Where it's it's like a smaller thing. It's not a mug.
Yeah.
Cup.
It's those cups like kind of this big.
The fancy crystal ones and stuff.
I love this. Your parents are in Denver, you said?
They're in Denver. They're from Iraq.
Off the podcast. I'm going to just fly there and just have tea with them.
You should totally do.
I really want to.
My friends have been starting to meet them lately and they love it because my dad is TikTok famous. And so.
Wait, what?
My dad. So I have a TikTok.
Yes.
But my dad is more famous.
You got to plug it. What's your handle?
It's just my name, Reem Edan, Reemedan. And my dad is TikTok famous. In fact, for his 70th birthday this year, we made him a TikTok themed party. So we got him a shirt that says, I'm TikTok famous. We got him a cake that said TikTok. It was a delight.
I'm dead right now.
It was the best thing. Cause my dad is like, have you seen Jack Whitehall's Travels with My Father on Netflix?
Oh my God. I haven't seen it, but it's on. I have a list of things I want to watch and it's on there.
Yes.
Because I had wanted to go traveling a lot with my dad.
Yeah. So my dad is like that. It's like Jack Whitehall's dad, where it's like, his archetype is like not no nonsense, but just like older man and
curmudgeon-y.
so kind of curmudgeon-y, but he's not. He's like very, very goofy and silly. But you wouldn't expect that from like an Arab dad. So that's where his magic lies.
I love this.
So my dad got recognized more than I have been recognized. Isn't that crazy?
Are you kidding me?
Off of my social media.
Hold on. You're telling me that like someone, wherever we are, at the grocery store, on the street,
Yes.
went up and was like, I know you from Reem's TikTok.
Yes. So my parents, listen, they're supportive and
I'm
stuff.
dead right now.
But they've become more supportive the more famous they have gotten. Recently, I think it was last summer, my parents, they live in Colorado. They went to a graduation party in like Nebraska or something.
Oh, wow.
And this was like distant friends. It wasn't even like their close friends, I don't believe. And so I get a phone call and my dad is like tickled. He's like, guess what happened? We were at a graduation party and a man who's a doctor, he came up to me. He said, you are Reem Edan's dad. And he was like, yes, I am Reem Edan's dad. And he's like, can you believe it? He was a doctor. He was impressed that the man was a doctor. Like,
I am losing my mind.
I know.
He didn't know this guy.
No. And it happened twice at the party, twice or 3 times. Separate groups of people, at least twice. Separate groups of people walked up to him like, you're Reem Edan's dad, right? I think I've seen you on TikTok because the most viral video I had was I pranked my parents with fart spray. And
that's mean.
It's fantastic. Listen, I suffered as well. I suffered directly from this.
I love that you did it while you were in the room.
Oh, it was really bad. I'll show you the video later. But yeah, he got recognized and they were all like, yes, we are our parents. It is us kind of thing.
Oh my God.
I know.
I think that my mother, a lot of people would relate to my mom. Every time I bring someone new to meet my mother, and not even romantically, like a friend, anyone, I always go, listen, my mother is very lovable and a little boo-nanners. And
what's boo-nanners?
Crazy town.
Oh, like bananas.
Yeah, she's a little boo-nanners. I always tell people this, and here's what's weird. It's the same reaction to my mother every single time.
What do they say?
They walk away going, she's the best. And I'm like, she's crazy. They go, oh, no. She's certifiable. But like, she is great.
So what does she do?
My best friend Dave was over. We're 15 years old. And he'd been my best friend since the first day of kindergarten. So my mother knew him very well. Mm-hmm. He mentioned that his uncle he's like, hey, my uncle's in Singapore for work. My mom goes, oh, does he like little boys?
Whoa, no. No.
And Dave goes, and my mom goes, oh, well, so a lot of businessmen will go to Singapore to engage in the child sex slave trade. And I wasn't sure if maybe that's why your uncle was there.
That is the best use of NPR information I have ever repurposed, just straight from the radio directly into conversation.
And Dave just looks at her and goes, I didn't ask.
Wow.
And then my mom goes, oh. And then we're all looking. And my mom goes, oh, like I'm the only one who was thinking it.
Oh my God.
And my dad goes, yeah, Hallie, you were. She goes, oh, excuse me, well, pass the peas then.
Oh, wait, what's pass the peas mean?
We were at dinner. We were eating dinner.
Oh, so okay. I thought that was like a phrase.
No. Yeah.
I thought that's like
it's a Jew phrase. Pass the peas.
Kind of like, well, nail me to the cross then.
So like my girlfriend Jess is Christian. I'm Jewish. Religion, I don't care what anyone's religion is. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter to me. But I didn't realize that I have some phrases that I use that maybe are not super great, depending on how religious you are. And so dating Jess, right before I met her family for the first time, something bad had happened. Mm-hmm. That we were like, here in LA, something that happened. I was like, oh, Christ on the cross. And Jess goes, so just for the future,
oh my God,
that phrase, I don't mind. I wouldn't say that around my family. I go, oh, I didn't mean it like I was just like, oh, this. And she was like, sure. I'm not upset at you.
Yeah.
I'm just letting you know that phrase is probably one you're not going to want to say to my mother.
That is incredible. Also, I've never heard anyone say Christ on the cross. I, as a Muslim, say like, oh, Jesus Christ.
I got in trouble when I worked at General Mills for saying Jesus Christ in a meeting.
But you worked at General Mills?
I worked at General Mills.
What did you do at General Mills?
I was in multicultural marketing.
That's incredible.
I swear to God.
I also used to work in marketing before I became a comedian.
You used to work in marketing?
Yeah.
Where were you?
I graduated with a marketing degree. I worked at Disney in marketing and publicity. I
graduated with that degree.
Oh my God. I worked at Paramount for a little bit.
Did you really?
I did. And then I worked at STX Entertainment. And then that's where I started doing stand-up and then eventually left that and did stand-up. And now on the side, that's why I said I do copywriting because I'm funny and I have a marketing background. So when you put the two together, you get copywriting.
I know you so much as a comic. Mm-hmm. It's always funny when you know someone in a certain way and then you're like, oh, and I also did marketing. I'm like,
Yeah, I know, right?
I'm like, oh, I didn't.
Well, I love like when I find out that comedians are real people too. Because I'm like, oh, so like you have a solid basis of logic and judgment. Good.
They don't all have that.
No.
I don't know your backstory at all. How did you go from marketing to comedy?
Well, let me tell you.
Let's have some tea and chat.
Let's spill the tea, shall we?
I'm in.
So I graduated with a marketing degree from the University of Denver. And then I was always in like marketing competitions too. Like in high school, I did like DECA and FBLA and stuff.
Oh my Lord. Okay.
First of all, I figured out from a young age how to travel. That's all I wanted to do. I just my family moved around a little bit. We moved to the Middle East for a few years. Then I got a taste of traveling and I loved it. So then throughout high school, I started figuring out how I could travel, and it was competitions and conferences.
Oh, I was like, where is she going now?
Yeah.
I see where you're
So
going.
that's how it kind of started with marketing and stuff. There's this like competition. And I was like, well, I'm like very social and I'm really good.
Yeah.
I just naturally have public speaking skills. So even though I have like the grades to be a doctor, I think I want to do something like marketing, because it seemed like, I think I also saw like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. And I was like, I could do.
Listen, I love that.
Right? I was like, I could do what Matthew McConaughey does. Mind you, like in the background, I was like a chubby kid. And so I was always like the funny kid, because you have to develop a personality at a young age.
Yeah, big ears, big nose, curly hair.
There you go. Yeah, it's our armor.
Yeah.
I interned a bunch too. I interned at Disney New York, Disney LA. I interned.
So you were already traveling even in the internships.
Yeah, I was just jet setting from the get go. Yeah. So I worked at like agencies in Denver. Did marketing for all the movie studios. And then when I moved out to LA, I was not trying to get a job in marketing. I was like, listen, deep down inside, I want to be an actor. So I'm just going to go to auditions and stuff. I'll move to LA because my sister lives here.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so I was like, in fact, I didn't even want to move to LA. I wanted to move to New York, but she convinced me to come crash on her couch.
What is the age difference?
She's 2 years older.
Okay, cool, cool.
So 2 weeks into it, I got a job at Paramount in marketing. And I was like, nah.
You weren't even trying.
I wasn't trying. I mean, I kind of was trying, but I wasn't trying.
You half-heartedly threw out applications.
Yeah. And then it came through 2 weeks after I graduated. I was like, I can't say no to this. Like, I can't say no to a full-time job at Paramount. So I was like, okay, what I'll do is I'll take the full-time job and then I'll audition on my lunch breaks, which we all know doesn't fucking work.
That's not pot.
It doesn't.
I mean, if you manage to find out, bless you. But like, I don't know who can do that.
I managed to sneak away over the course of like my 5-year like real boy career. And I started doing the studio shuffle, as they call it, where you go from one to the other.
Sure.
Always in marketing. The problem is like, and this is what I used to tell people whenever I mentor kids or people have informational interviews with me.
I could use a mentor. Yeah. Go ahead.
If you move into Hollywood or whatever you want to do, just do what you want to do from the beginning. Do not do this bullshit of get my foot in the door. Shut the fuck up and just wait till you get what you want.
Exact mistake.
Yeah, exactly. Because you get pigeonholed. And I can't tell you, like, at first I was like, oh, okay, fine. Maybe acting isn't in the cards right now. I want to be a producer. And I kept trying to like merge over to the creative side of things. Even though I was working on studio lots, I couldn't get over it. Everyone's like, but you're a marketing person. It was like in this like frustration of like always being in my normal life, top of my class, and like, the one moving and doing internships everywhere.
Yeah.
And then when I'm finally in the midst of it, I'm just like stuck. And I was like, I don't understand why I can't accelerate, which lo and behold, that is because I was in the wrong thing. And I should have been doing stand-up, which is what I actually deeply wanted to do, but didn't realize was a career. I just didn't understand that you could do that. So I was at Paramount, then Disney, then STX Entertainment, and I was just like stuck in a rut. I couldn't climb the ladder. I think I was like 26. I was having like a midlife crisis of like, or quarter life crisis. Like, what am I really doing? What's making me happy? Why can't I get successful when all I've ever done in my life was be successful, academically at least?
This was at 26?
Yeah.
That's so funny. I had mine at 27.
They call it your Saturn return. Actually.
Is that true?
Yeah. They say like when you have your Saturn return around 26, 27, then you like try to figure out what the fuck you have to do. And that's where you actually find yourself and do what you want. I moved to LA
at 27.
There you go. See, that's when I started stand up, was like 26, 27.
This is so crazy. Go
ahead. I know. So basically I was just so frustrated at work and I had like a little mental breakdown. What really brought it on is like I've dealt with my weight issues most of my life because I was a fat kid. And then at this certain point in time, I had finally gotten like to the weight I wanted to. I dyed my hair blonde. I was like, okay, this is it. I was fashionable.
I have to see photo evidence.
I'll show you. Yeah. I was like fashionable. I was like, do my thing. And then I was like, but I'm not happy. So it was like everything I had worked towards and then it wasn't what I wanted. And I was like, what the fuck? So that's where I had a crisis. I was like driving around LA this one day. It was a Saturday and I didn't have a destination and I just kept driving around. And then I called my sister freaking out. I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do with myself. Like, what do I do? Where do I go? What's my fucking purpose? And she was like, pull the fuck over and go to a yoga class or something because you sound crazy.
That's actually not bad. I don't think that's bad advice.
No, it's amazing advice. And there happened to be a meditation studio that opened up called the Den Meditation. And I went to a class there.
Literally that day.
Went in? I literally got on ClassPass and I was like, I need to find something because I was going crazy. And I went to this meditation studio and then fell in love. I finally felt like calm. So then I kept going back over and over again. And it was through all this like consciousness, meditation, whatever work that I finally asked myself, like, what makes me happy? Or at least pinpointed that I needed to ask myself what made me happy. And that's how I started stand-up. Was I wasn't like, I'm going to be a stand-up comedian. I just was like, okay, so like what gives my heart joy? I was like, well, I like making people laugh.
Yeah.
I'm always the funny girl. I'm always like in deep down inside, I always wanted to do something like that. So why don't I just like go to an open mic? I always said I would. So let me just like find an open mic and I'll go. And that's how my stand-up career was born. I literally just set myself a deadline from there. I was like, all right, by the third week of February, I have to go to an open mic. And then I told a friend about it. And then I waited until the last fucking day of the third week of February, the last open mic in LA, which was like a sketch open mic in downtown.
What was the mic?
It was Dronebach Studios or something like that.
I don't even know that one.
It was just like in a very sketch part of downtown. And I was like, I have to go. Like, I have to make the deadline. And I did. And I remember like being at my first open mic and I was like, guys, this is my first time doing stand-up. And then afterwards, I think it was Zara and Matteo. They were like, is that like a bit you do? Or it's like, it's my first time. And I was like, no, it's my first time. They're like, dude, no, you need to be doing stand-up. It was actually Matteo because he was like, you need to get into this class. Like, you actually are good at stand-up. If that was really your first time. I was like, no, it was my first time. So that's how it all began. And then I took a class and then hit the ground running.
I want to go back a little bit because one of the things you said was really interesting. You hit your goal weight, you had the job, you dyed your hair blonde, and you were like, this isn't what I want. I think about that all the time, which is the idea of like, are you dreaming big enough?
Yep.
My dad gave me this absolutely amazing advice. There was one day where we were having a conversation and there was an opportunity that was coming my way where I was a little like, ooh, maybe I shouldn't, maybe. Yeah. And my dad goes, listen, our family has an unbelievable streak of self-sabotage. He goes, specifically on my side. Yeah. He goes, my side of the family. And he goes, and I'm going to tell you why. When you have a dream, when you come face to face with that dream, whether you succeed or fail, you have to be willing to give a part of yourself away. If you succeed, you give a part of yourself away that always wanted that. Because forever, a part of yourself knew wanting that.
Yeah.
That piece is gone.
Yeah.
If you fail, you give up the piece of you that always thought that you could achieve it. He's like, so no matter what, a lot of people are scared to take the final step because they're not ready to give themselves away.
Yeah.
He said, what I can tell you is the more pieces of yourself that you can give away over the course of your life, the more you will bring joy and happiness to people around you who get that piece of you.
That's incredible. I just got goosebumps. That's such good advice.
So he gave me that advice and he goes, when you come face to face with things, don't be scared.
Yeah.
Think about how much joy you can bring and get excited about it. Because giving a piece of yourself away means that you've made room for a new piece of yourself that can come fit.
Oh, that. Oh my God, I love that so much. I can relate to that.
Isn't it crazy? Because when you were just describing that, I was like, oh my God, I've so been there. I was like writing this 2-person show and I lived in Chicago and I was like, I think this is good.
Yeah.
While I'm writing the show, my dad dies. And I'm just like,
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, was it you?
What?
Were you the one that killed him?
Oh God, did you fucking scare the shit out of me? I was like,
you're like, no?
I'm sorry. No,
So my dad dies in the middle of us writing the show. And then I end up incorporating it into this show.
Yeah.
The show is called Dating Adults Embracing Failure. And it was about first dates and breakups. And you only saw the first date and breakup of every couple, sometimes in reverse order.
Yeah.
Only one couple lasted. I think there were like 10 couples in it. It's been a long time. But one of the breakups, you see this kind of like weird, awkward couple and you kind of like, oh, these are really sweet people, their first date. And the breakup is he's standing over her casket.
Oh, shit.
And he's saying goodbye to her. And that's their breakup. I had to write this. This was due on May 4th with my director. May 2nd, my dad died.
Oh my God.
I got an immediate call from the director, be like, we do not need this scene. Like, we're going to cut it. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I said I was going to do it. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So anyway, I tell you all the story to say that this show ended up being probably the most successful thing I've ever done. Like it sold out. It was written up by the Chicago Tribune. It was like quite a thing. And I'm like,
I keep having goosebumps.
I'm like in this moment.
I think I'm malfunctioning.
Yeah, you're like, it's not you. Am I just cold?
I'm just a coffee person, and this tea
like
is
this tea
really
messing with my mind. So I finally I have all of it, right? I'm like, man, I blew up. Like the show ended up getting published. I was like, man, I'm a published playwright. Oh my God, all this stuff. And I go, oh, but I was supposed to feel like now I did a thing.
Yeah,
and I don't feel anything.
Isn't that the weirdest thing?
I didn't know what to do. No one tells you.
I'm so proud of you for reaching that point because I was having this conversation with my sister today. And I have it a lot because, listen, I'm not...
Today, you said?
Today.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
But I talk about this stuff a lot because not to be like, I'm conscious, but I try. I really do try to be...
We all should try.
Yeah. And I just... being someone who travels a lot and who's very into spirituality and meditation, and I read about philosophy and stuff, it's very prevalent to me that a lot of us are lost, myself included. But a lot of times we numb ourselves with whatever it is you want it to be: work, alcohol, NFTs, tea. Yeah, you obsess over different things because you assign it value, and you think by assigning that value, it assigns your life value. And so you come to a point of realization where you're like, what is giving me purpose? Right? Humans need something to aim towards. And when you lack that, then you start to try to find it in other things. And at the end of the day, you come to realize it's the exact same thing, which is I'm finally here where I thought I would be. What's the next goalpost, to keep myself distracted from the reality of suffering?
It's so interesting. So I remember I got the phone call letting me know that that play was getting published.
Yeah.
They were like, hey, the deal went through. The publisher signed on. Your advance is coming.
That's
blah, blah,
so
blah.
cool.
And I was like, whoa. And then I turned to the person I wrote that play with and I was like, so I was thinking for the next one.
Yeah.
And she goes, hold on.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? She goes, so that just happened
Yeah.
about 45 seconds ago. And I was like, She's like, and you're not celebrating. You're talking about what the next thing is.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, okay, like we could take a minute or two and like really, and you know, and she
Have
goes,
some tea.
yeah, like we'll have some tea and like be like, this was cool and then move on. And, but I've had multiple people who have essentially said like, if you are solely focused on your ultimate end goal, right? Whatever it is, you want to win an Oscar, you want to be on SNL, whatever, you want to have a stand-up special on HBO. If you're focused on your end goal the entirety of the time, and you don't take time to acknowledge the victories you've had, the victory you eventually have will feel wholly meaningless because you haven't acknowledged the triumphs that have led to that experience.
100%, yeah.
And I'm so guilty of this. So by the way, anyone who's like listening at home who's like, oh my God, I don't do this. I don't do it either. I'm horrible about this. But like, I think sometimes about the idea of like, find meaning in the little victories. It's the journey.
You're right. And it's just as much about the rejections too. Because I learned very early on in this industry.
I swim in those.
Yeah. You have to be okay with them and you have to like not let the highs be too high or the lows get too low. Like that's truly the only way to survive in this industry. I was so suffocated at my last job. I was like at that point where I was like, I need to do stand-up. I need to do writing. Like I know I'm good enough. Why am I working at in a writer's room or doing something else? And it was just like those final few months, I landed my dream job. I was going to be a writer on Family Guy. And then, yes. And then that deal fell through. So I went from like the highest of high. I was like, I'm going to set this place on fire and leave. Woo! Until like, oh wait, I didn't get the job. And going back to like feeling like a piece of shit. Nothing is real until it's real. And like, even when it is, you have to like stop and appreciate it and then move forward. So it's like this really weird, delicate balance of like, stopping to smell the roses, but at the same time, like not getting caught up in the thorns. That's poetry. Thank you.
I was going to say that was amazing.
You just need someone to believe in you and you need to believe in yourself because I
so often don't.
Yeah. I switched after that whole Family Guy incident happened. Like I had signed with like reps overnight. Like it was like a Hollywood make a dream situation. Like I'd rather do all the work and I believe in myself enough to where it's going to be okay. It's not like, if one person believed in me and if I don't stay with them, I've lost my big chance. It's like, no, I know I'm talented enough. And you have to believe that. You have to believe in your own talent to be like, it'll work itself out.
Well, the great thing about having a supportive partner is like between Thanksgiving and Christmas, we did a thing because I asked her to where every night we would rip off a small little piece of paper and write down one thing that we're grateful for. And then we would fold them up and put them in a bowl. And then on New Year's Eve, we would take them all out and take turns reading them.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah. So we did that.
I'm going to steal that.
One of the things that I wrote on mine was, I'm grateful for the times you believe in me when I don't believe in myself.
Aww.
Because that's really important. Because no matter how much we believe in ourselves, there's always that moment where someone's just like, oh, I suck.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to take us to our first segment. Are you ready?
Woo, let's go.
This is called the Newly Friend Game. It's like the Newlywed Game, but we're friends. And we're not married as far as I know. We'll look at the record books.
Okay.
I typically will do a question for you. Then we'll each write down, see if we have the same answer. And a question for me. We'll each write down, see if we have the same answer. We're going to do that this time, but I'm going to let you know we're both going to have the same question. The question is, what was your favorite breakfast cereal?
Is this such a General Mills question?
Growing up.
Okay.
I got to tell you, your shirt says Lucky Charms, so I'm intrigued by it. Yes, it does.
Oh my God. I never really read the shirts that I buy.
I respect that. Okay, hold on.
So you know some things about me. You knew that I was a fat kid. We talked about that.
You mentioned that.
So we know it wasn't shredded wheat.
I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to be honest. If you said shredded wheat, I'd kick you out.
Okay.
You ready? Flip your board on 3, 2, 1. Oh, I didn't get any of them. That's incredible.
Wow.
Okay, so I wrote Cocoa Puffs, which
That's
I thought
so
was a
racist
good
of you.
guess.
No, I'm
You said what?
I'm just kidding.
I was going to be like, you said you were a fat kid. I was like, Cocoa Puffs,
kidding.
And then I said, I thought you'd also like Honey Nut Cheerios.
Why would I like Honey Nut Cheerios? I just told you it wasn't healthy.
Honey Nut Cheerios are not healthy. I worked at General Mills. I'm telling you right now, that's not a healthy cereal.
You're right.
Reese's Pieces. Do you mean Reese's Puffs?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. so Reem wrote.
Also, is that how you write Reese's? I've never spelled. No, it's an S, isn't it?
It's an S. Hold on, wait. So Reem's primary choice was Reese's Puffs. Oh, I forgot about Cookie Crisp. Her second choice was Cookie Crisp. And they had such a good commercial, Cookie Crisp.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
And Fruity Pebbles.
Love them. Also, I'm a mushy cereal person. I don't know if you are.
I don't even know what you mean by this.
So
like you let this.
You let it. I let it I'll put it in tea terms. I let the milk and the cereal steep.
Oh, you
Yes.
loony tune.
I
Okay.
steep them until it's mushy cereal.
Okay, you ready so my question, I'm going to have the same question for me.
Yes.
What do you think was my favorite cereal growing up?
I want a hint.
You don't want to what?
I want a hint.
I can't do that.
Well, that's really unfortunate.
I'm getting really specific.
Okay.
Okay, you ready to flip your board
Yes.
on 3,
1.
2, 1. Ew.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Oh, that is offensive.
I got it. Honey Bunches of Oats. Honey Boo. Bunches of Oats.
So that was my second choice. Oh, so French Toast Crunch. That's like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, they're very similar.
You were off by a GIF. So I wrote, for the listeners at home, I wrote Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That was my absolute favorite cereal growing up.
I really loved Cinnamon Toast Crunch too.
wrote Raisin Bran.
Hey, that's one of my current favorites.
I hate raisins, so very much not on my alley.
There's something about mushy Raisin Bran, dude. You got to be a mushy person.
I think
I should have known
eat
you weren't
mushy,
into the mush.
but I hate raisins.
Okay, so let's just pretend I didn't do that
so
one.
hate raisins, but Honey Bunches of Oats was the second thing I wrote, and Reem wrote Honey Bunches of Oats. And then the third one I wrote, and this is very specific, I said Cocoa Krispies, but not generic, because the generic Cocoa Krispies they don't make your milk chocolatey.
Their texture is really bad too.
Yeah, not into it.
Yep.
And the third one that Reem wrote was French Toast Crunch, which was so close to Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
How good was French Toast Crunch, man?
It was great.
Oh,
I liked French Toast Crunch.
why is all food in the United States flavored to other food? Have you thought about that? We have like pie flavored ice cream flavored soda flavored cake. Like we have everything flavored to a different thing. We have French toast flavored cereal.
We're gluttonous. We're a gluttonous country.
Yes, we is.
That was the newly framed game. How do you feel?
I felt really good
We
about
didn't
that.
get any points, but I felt good about it.
Sorry, I thought you were a Raisin Bran person.
I'm like, honestly, I'm going to tell you something. I've like really enjoyed our conversation, and now I'm a little offended. But otherwise, I had enjoyed it. Did you just draw a little teacup over there?
I did. I'm trying to be thematic.
Oh, I love it. That's
you.
so cute. I like that a lot. So I want to go back because you were talking about how you travel a lot. I want to go back to that a little bit. Do you know how many countries you've done stand-up in?
You want to figure it out?
Sure.
Okay, so I've done it in the United States.
No.
Yes, I have.
How about Canada?
I have not done Canada. Okay, so I did the United States and then England, Germany, the Netherlands, Costa Rica.
You did comedy in Costa Rica?
I did.
I love Costa Rica.
I had a great time. I was really afraid because it was a lot of retired people and like ex-military, like veterans and stuff like that. And a lot of what I talk about is being like a Muslim Iraqi girl. And so in my mind, and I'm like 40 years younger than these people. So I was really freaked out.
They're not going to be cool with this.
Yeah. But they were actually very cool with it. I just remember being like, right before I went up, I was hosting. I was like, I think I should change my whole set. Yeah, I should talk about tacos or something like that.
Well, I do love tacos, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so what are we at? 7?
I was at 5.
We're at 5. And then I did Japan, which was awesome. English speaking scene there too.
I just generally want to visit Japan, but cool.
My favorite country on earth. And I just found out I'm 0.2% Japanese for my 23andMe. And
So you're going to take me and tour me around Japan.
I'm going to take you to Japan. It's the greatest country on earth.
Everyone who's visited who I know is like, it's amazing.
The best. And then I've performed in Bahrain, which is a country I used to live in.
Okay, I'm restarting on the right hand, but we're at 7.
So Bahrain,
Yeah.
island in the Middle East that I used to live on. And that was a really cool story because I had left 15 years prior to this in 2004 and then never went back. And my parents didn't even tell us we were moving. We thought we were just coming back to the United States for summer vacation.
Did you bring your stuff?
No, we brought like 2 suitcases, a suitcase each. And then like, cause that was what we used to do. We'd come back for the summer to the United States because it's really hot in the Middle East during the summertime. And my dad was a professor, so we'd have summers off. And then one summer they were like, we decided we live here now and school starts Monday. I was like, I'm sorry, what? So I moved across the world without knowing it.
Cross country.
Yeah.
What happened to your stuff?
One of my parents had to go back. It gets crazier actually. The story gets crazier. So not only did this happen, mind you, I moved to the Middle East a week before 9/11. So it started off on the wrong foot.
How many crazy things? Next, you're going to be like, okay, and then after that, we were famous, and Jake Gyllenhaal moved in.
That's
and
amazing.
Then,
That's why,
this
like,
is insane.
It's crazy. This is why I have such a hard time writing stand-up because I usually talk about shit that just happens to me. Okay, so moved to the Middle East. It was crazy though, because like, we went from being like the Arabs in America to being the Americans in the Middle East. So it was like and I'm Iraqi too. So imagine like when the Iraq war happened, I'm like, where do I stand on this? You know, very bizarre. After one summer, they're like, we just decided like it's time to move and, we're already here. So So my dad went back to the Middle East to go get our stuff, shut the apartment or the house down, get out of his contract. And so we started life in the US. We had bought a house and we were renting it out while we were in the Middle East. So we kicked our tenants out.
Where were you? Because I know you started in Denver. Did you go back to Denver?
Colorado, Fort Collins. It's like an hour away from Denver.
So still in Colorado.
All Colorado,
okay,
yeah. We kick our tenants out. We like buy new furniture. I start at school. And then my dad, like 2 months into this, he's like, hey, I actually can't get out of my contract. We made a mistake. You have to move back to the Middle East. So now after this whole shit show,
How old were you at this moment?
I was 14. right?
This is crazy.
So now, after having uprooted our lives, I never got to say goodbye to my friends. All this shit happens. They're like, never mind, we're going back. So now we sell all of our stuff in the United States, move back to the Middle East. And I like surprise my friends at school. I'm like, I'm back. It's crazy. Wah! And then we finish out that school year. And the next summer comes and we're going back to America, right? Because we do that every summer for vacation. And I was like, hey, real quick, you're not going to pull the same shit twice, right? Like where we're like, you tell us it's vacation and then we move.
He's going to pull this.
And they're like, of course not. They pulled the same shit twice, 2 fucking times.
This time, did you have more shit packed? Or this time were you like...
No, because they told me we had bought a new house. I was like, this is real life now. We're not doing that dumb shit again. And then we did the dumb shit again. And now, like, so
this is insane.
Tomorrow's promised. And then tomorrow's not promised. And then I'm in another country. So that's also why I like traveling so much, because I'm like, oh, I can move around. I don't need a home base, because what is home base? So that
For you, didn't have a definition at that point.
And then it like also informs like my stand-up comedy and how I talk about identity and like not, that's why my perspective is like Muslim-ennial, because it's like, I'm this, but I want to do this, but I'm kind of this. Did you coin that
term or is that a term?
I coined it myself.
That's very funny.
Thank you.
You came up with that?
I did. And I'm going to put on t-shirts too.
You put it on, I was going to say.
I'm going to. I haven't done it yet.
I was going to say, if you, not that this is, this is none of my business, but if you release a special and it's not called Muslim-ennial,
I got to trademark that shit.
You should.
Dude, I came up with it because I was doing college tours and my agent was like, you need like a slogan or a catchphrase or a word. And I was like, it took me like a minute. I was like, Muslim-ennial. And she's like, okay. I said, all right.
That took you a minute?
Well, I worked in marketing, dude. I knew. I was like, I got it.
She was going to say, it would take like 7 agencies. They're like, I'm thinking Muslim-ennial. What are you thinking? And they would be like, Lenny-Uslim. And they're like, it's close, but it's not right.
Okay, so back to the countries.
Yes.
So that was the reason that second time around when they moved us away, it had been 15 years from when I had like left the country so unexpectedly.
So crazy.
And I went back for stand-up. And so it was like for this.
I'm sure
like,
you crushed.
I did great.
But you could definitely throw out some local references like, I used to live here and do this.
Dude, it was wild. And like all of my middle school friends came to my show and like my face was on a billboard and stuff. Like it was wild to have like, and when I was living there too, I remember being like, one day I'm going to move to LA and I'm going to be an actress or something, but I'm going to be famous one day and it's going to happen.
Apparently you were.
It fucking happened,
dude. You went home and you were like, people were like, oh yeah, she's on a billboard.
I know. So everyone's like, wow, you did it. And I was like, I did it. Like, you know, although I don't think they held on to my dream as much as I did. I was like, remember this?
You're like, I said it.
Yeah.
I told Jess the other day, I think the first time that I ever end up on TV is going to be when I'm elderly and lost. I think that's someone be like, have you seen this man? I'll be like, I made it.
That's amazing.
Okay, so.
Wait, and then Dubai.
I think that's 8.
I think that's 8.
Which is already an insane number.
Palestine. I've done Palestine
too. So that's 9.
I think that's it.
You're saying that's it as if 9 is not a lot. But to me, that's insane.
It's wild. It is cool. It's pretty cool.
Do you change your sets?
Yes.
Okay.
100%.
How?
I started doing international shows from an earlier age. Also, I have a multinational audience. Like if you look at your stats on Instagram and stuff.
It's embarrassingly US based for me.
That's amazing. Mine's like Middle East, US, UK, India. I have a big following in like India and Egypt, random places. The reason it's impacted a lot of my style is because I've learned early on that like what is most universal for me at least is like talking about like my family and cultural stuff. So while I have a very different culture specifically with having like Muslim parents and Iraqi parents and stuff, it translates really well to any kind of like foreign parents or any kind of lost in translation moment. And so that's what informed a lot of my comedy is like commenting on like, well, my parents, you know, did this, or I feel like an outsider in this sense. That travels so well, and being able to go kind of more broad strokes about your observations as opposed to like football and talking about like something super specific American has
you clearly
like,
don't know me if you're thinking I talk about
well, I know, not you, but yeah, I feel like that's helped me a lot. It's much more relatable than you like talking about family and real life things are very relatable outside of the United States. And we have like arguably like some of the best stand-up comedy opportunities here in the US. So we push out good comics and other countries want that. So
sign me up. What's so funny is anytime I like talk to people and they're like, yeah, I changed my set a little bit. I'm like, oh, my set's just all about my life and me. So I don't know. Now there are observations obviously laced in.
Yeah.
We were talking a little earlier about how I'm discussing a lot about masculinity and femininity, but again, it relates to me.
Yeah, as it should.
It relates to the first time I got a pedicure and I was like, interesting.
But that's perfect. That would travel really well.
Would it?
Yeah. What I do when I said I adjust sets, I'm not a dirty comic at all, but like sometimes I have a more conservative
I'm 100% clean.
Perfect.
People, I always joke.
That's better. You can travel, dude. If you're clean, you're good to go.
I joke with people, I go, I'm a clean comic, but my goal is that you won't know it.
I'm Muslim and I talk about that a little, but I'm edgy. Like I'll talk about like going out and going to Burning Man and doing things like that. So
I have questions about that.
Yeah. Or I'll make a joke that's like, ooh, but you have to be, it's intelligent enough to where it's not a dirty joke. You know, it's like, oh, that's an abortion joke, but I'm not going to go out and say it, you know?
I would like to take us to our second segment.
Oh my God, are we only on segment 2? I'm so sorry. I talk a lot.
Oh my God, we love your talking. I want you to talk for days. The second segment is called Teach Me Something. my entire life, I've been told I have a lot to learn. I try and use the segment to achieve some of it. It can take 10 seconds. It can take 10 minutes, preferably not 10 minutes because I don't have that attention span. But
Sure.
What do you got for me?
Well, I was going to teach you how to curse in Arabic.
I'm on board. Go
But
ahead.
you're going to love this because in my quest to think of what to teach you, you said a word, tease, which is the plural of tea. Now, in Arabic, specifically in Iraqi, and in some other dialects, tease or pronounced please means my ass. So, or please is just ass. So if you say pleasey, it's my ass. Or plezek is your ass. Some countries, instead of meaning ass, it means front parts. But most of the time when I say
like Fanny in Britain.
yes.
Means, yeah.
So when you say I like to drink teas, in my mind, I'm like, does he like to drink ass? Or you see what I'm saying?
How are you flipping? You're flipping something in the middle of that.
So it's like a t, right? From the front of here.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm going more towards the roof of my mouth. So it's there you go. So please.
Please.
Oh my God, you did it.
So that means butt?
Yeah. So if I say boos means kiss.
Oh, this is what I want to know. How do you say kiss my? So boos.
Kiss my ass is boos.
Boos.
Lazy.
Boos. Easy.
Oh my God, you did it.
I'm so ready.
I'm so proud.
Send
and it
me.
ties in with the theme of the show.
Let me tell you something. I would so happily do stand up in Iraq just to get to say that.
That's amazing.
I feel like they would be like, I can just imagine if I did this in Iraq, someone in the audience would be like, close.
Yeah.
It's not perfect. You're close.
Brother, it is not actually that way, but you're very close.
Yeah, they're like, you tried. You know, I'd be like, I did my very
that's
best.
amazing.
Oh my God, what a fun Teach Me segment. And here's the other thing about that. I am going to probably just listen back to hear the pronunciation a little more. I'm going to work on it.
Please do.
There are a few languages that I feel like would be so helpful for me personally to know. And those three would be Arabic.
Really?
Yeah, hell yeah. The number of people that are speaking Arabic, at least in LA and New York, because I can pick it out.
Yeah. You can. I always wondered if people can pick it out.
I can only pick it out because I've heard a lot of Hebrew and those are not so far apart from each other.
It's all the ch and stuff. Yeah.
So I can usually pick it out, but I always think to myself, I'm like, oh, I wish I knew what that was.
Let me tell you, I love speaking Arabic. I didn't as a child. I fought my way through it. I was like, yeah, I don't want to speak it. But now, as an adult, able to speak a language that not many people speak on a day-to-day basis, it is so liberating. Because my sister and I, like today, we were shopping at Melrose Trading Post, and in Arabic, we're like, what the fuck is that? Like, oh, like that doesn't look nice. Tell him I want that. Like, I can barter with her. We can it's like a code. It's an amazing code. And the flip side of that too is I don't traditionally look Arabic, like from what people think Arabs look like. So even Arabs don't know I'm Arab. And once I tell you or you figure it out, they're like, oh, okay. Like if you know, if you have context, sure. But if you don't, like 99% of the time I get away with it. So they will talk Arabic about me in front of me. And I love to call them out. I love to be like, really?
Do you give it a while?
Of course I do. I like wait till they dig themselves a hole. And then I'm like, yeah. And then they're like, oh, what? How do you speak Arabic? How do you know Arabic? What? It happened like last week.
I don't have the ability if someone's talking shit to be like, oh yeah, I can't do it.
You can speak Spanish.
I can know if someone's talking shit about me in Spanish for sure. But like, I don't know enough to in a cool way say in Spanish, be like, oh, you big dog and a big dog?
That's funny.
Right? Like
yeah,
I can't, I could directly translate that, but that's not what it is in Spanish. Yeah. But the other language that so that the three were Arabic, Spanish, I want to get back. I used to be really good and I lost it, but I like to get back. The third language, you're going to think this is really weird, but I'm going to say this anyway, because this is the language I really, really, really want to pick at, is sign language.
Smart.
Because you're talking about talking in front of people. Yeah. Oh man. Also, I will sometimes, like this is again, when I used to sing a lot, but even in comedy or when I'm podcasting, if I need to go on vocal rest, how easy would it be if just like, what do you want for dinner? And sign it to me and I could just sign back. And it's just like a really nice.
That's great. I want to learn sign language.
A friend of mine in college, there was a talent competition, freshman year of college. And he got up and did a choreographed dance to I Want It That Way.
Oh no.
And signed the whole thing.
Oh my God.
And he won. And I was like, man, where did you learn sign language? He goes, I didn't.
Oh my God.
I go, wait. So he goes, yeah, no, none of that was correct. And
God.
I go, do you care? And he goes, no.
Oh my God. This is so funny.
He's like a very funny guy. So like I really respected it because I was like, he's such a funny guy.
Did he piss off the hard of hearing community?
No one knew. Oh my God. But here's a fun side note. He lives in Denver.
Wow. There it is. Wow. It's all just ties right into each other.
I know. I did want to ask you to go back to, there are two things I want to ask you and I swear we're going to get to the final segment.
I'm chilling.
So I took a little perusal through your IGs and noticed that you've done Burning Man.
Yes.
Overall questions, what attracted you to it? Was this part of your meditation journey? Like, tell me a little more, because I've never been there and it scares me.
Burning Man is my favorite country on earth. It's the greatest.
They consider themselves their own country?
No, I call it that because it's remarkable. Where do I even start with this? I have written articles about Burning Man. I tell people about it.
Tell the listeners, where do we find these articles?
So that one is on a platform called Sway, SWAAY.
Cool name.
Yeah, right? So Burning Man, the reason it's so fantastic, it's not a music festival. Everyone thinks it's like Coachella, like a week long. It's not at all.
I thought it was like people are like bringing their wares and like trading stuff. And it's like, I don't understand
yes and no. So it's a 7-day event that takes weeks to build. And basically an entire city is built in the desert in Nevada. When I say city, I mean infrastructure, postal service, like hospital, everything.
They built a hospital?
Yeah, there's a hospital. I had to go there one time. I fucked up my elbow.
Well, I'm glad you're still with us.
Oh man, I saw some shit in that hospital tent. So thank you. So basically it's like a utopian society that's built that only lasts 7 days. And that's why Burning Man, like when they burn it all down at the end, is because it is an experience in art and culture and music and like humanity that only lasts for a certain amount of time, is burned down at the end so that you were present and are just like the truest version of yourself. It's a society where money does not exist. So you can't buy anything there. In fact, the only things you can buy are coffee and ice. That's it. And they sell it at Center Camp. There's nothing for sale there. Once you get your ticket.
Why is that specific thing, the thing they sell?
Because a lot of our perceived identity comes from like societal structures, like the family we're born into, our names. A lot of people don't use their real names at Burning Man because it's a week where you can exist in whatever world you want to. It's like a choose your own adventure book.
Did you use a different name?
No, because my name is fucking weird. So people try to give me a playa name. They're like Dolphin. I was like, fuck you.
I'd like to be Sea Otter.
Oh my God. If that's what you want to do, dude, do it.
I think they're cool.
But it's such a beautiful, like, it's like imagine a world where money doesn't mean anything and you just exist as like the best version of yourself. And it's a society in which everyone contributes, right? So people go with camps, so you can go by yourself, but you have to like give something to the playa. So some people offer free food. And I'm talking about like
the playa, is that the community?
So the playa is like, yeah, like the community or like the desert or yeah. So let's say Burning Man. Playa is the generalized version. So some people offer classes, workshops, meditation. Some people offer music. So they'll fly in like Skrillex, so the best DJs, like they're offering, because they're music camps. So their offering is like amazing music and like concerts. Some people offer food. I was like biking around one day and there was this like beautiful 1950s diner in the middle of the desert. And they were like, come have some pancakes. And there was mimosas there. There was like everything.
Do you have to trade something or
there's no trading. So there's several principles to Burning Man. Trading is like, if you don't bring money, then obviously you can be like, oh, have some of this, but it's more giving. It's not trading. Everyone has this idea that it's a barter system. It's a giving system. So like if everyone gives, everyone receives. One of the other ideas is it's radical self-reliance. That's one of the principles. So you go to this place and you bring in everything you need and you haul all of that out and you are there to exist and rely on yourself for 7 days. Now, will you get things for free? Of course, but you have to rely on yourself. So you learn a lot about yourself and spiritually and personally. You can party. Like I said, it's a choose your own adventure book. So whatever you want to do, if you want to do drugs, go ahead and do drugs. If you want to go to AA meetings, there's AA meetings. If you want to go to like a spanking seminar, there's that. They have the craziest classes, things that like, you're like, wait, what? And you're like, wait, I guess, why isn't this a real thing? And so for a week, nobody cares. You can wear whatever you want. So some people...
Can you just walk around naked?
You can walk around naked.
I'd be scared of a sunburn, but otherwise I'm intrigued.
There you go. I mean, there are police there too. Federal police, local police, I forget. But so it's not like, oh, everyone's running around being crazy. Look, are there more devious things that you could do? Sure. But that's like the whole point of the society is like, whatever you want to do, here's a week for like, and go be whoever you want to be. And like the greatest of humanity comes out. Like I've never seen so much art. There's like art installations everywhere. There's like art cars. So they call them like mutant vehicles that are basically like parade floats, but they're interactive. Some of them have DJs on them. And it's like mind blowing how creative these people are and like the themes. And it's very Mad Max-esque in terms of fashion and stuff. But it's really just like people being the best versions of themselves for a week. And at the end of the week, you meet people from all around the world and everyone's nice. And the median age is like 40 years old. So it's not like raging with like Silicon Valley, although like those people are there, models are there, sure. But it's just like, it's incredible. And you learn so much and all of your ideas of like how you judge people go away. Like I made friends who were like in their 50s and 60s there, like some of my best friends, and it just doesn't matter anymore. And you start to just be a human. It's crazy. It's such a wild hippy dippy concept, but it's really not. Like,
what did you like teach a class or like bring a...
No, my offering was stand up. Wasn't that fun?
Did you actually like perform?
I did stand up at Burning Man. This was my first couple months.
How many people came?
It was like 40 people.
That's great.
I know.
You're just like, hey, I'm going to be performing tonight at 8, and I would love all of you to be here.
Yeah, and I didn't.
So you brought your own mic and your own speakers.
My camp offered a stage and speakers and stuff like that. So I actually had intended to do it at my camp. And then that night, like, I think it was like wind or something. It got canceled that night. So I ended up doing it another night at the center camp stage. But yeah, that was my offering. And then I also brought light up rings and I gave them out to a lot of people at night because you have to wear light up stuff at night because you'll get crashed into with bikes. So that was another one of my gifts to the playa was I'd give people who didn't have lights on rings for safety so that they would light up. It was really cool.
You know what is interesting? So as much as the 2 questions I asked you earlier seem different, now they actually feel very related to me because this is all about identity.
100%. I think I had been doing stand-up for like 2 months when I went to Burning Man, and I went alone because I had been talking about it for years. I knew it was like a spiritual thing, but this was
not the camp time. This was a different time.
This is the first time I went to Burning Man.
Okay.
And it was with the camp. But when I say I went alone, it was like I didn't have friends with me. I went with a camp.
Okay.
I hitched a ride with some people I hadn't met before.
Sure.
And it's a very arduous planning process to get to Burning Man. It's not like, and then I packed my bag. Like, there's no stores. You can't drive out. Like, whatever you bring in is what you have, including your water. You have to like go to that length. So I had been trying to get my friends to go and nobody wanted to go. And this is the exact same time I had that whole spiritual breakdown. And going into Burning Man, I had 2 intentions, which are so crazy, but it ties into everything. One of my intentions was to figure out if I actually believed in God or not, because I grew up Muslim and stuff. And I was like, but do I really, like, am I just following? And the other intention was to figure out like what I wanted to do with my life and if it was stand up. And at Burning Man, the time that I went alone, I found myself, because I didn't used to talk about my identity as much in my stand up. I was kind of all over the place. And for some reason, when people would ask me where I was from at Burning Man, instead of being like, oh, LA, I was like, well, I'm Iraqi, which was a weird way to answer where are you from. I was like, well, my parents are from Iraq.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And for some reason, I just kept bringing that up. Like there was something inside me that just was called to keep talking about it and introduce myself to strangers. I was like, you need context. Let me give you context. And so it was through that process that I started like really thinking about my identity and dealing with trauma. But like figuring it out. And it was never a big thing to me. It really wasn't. I didn't used to talk about being Muslim or Arab or Iraqi. It was a part of me, but I didn't really understand it. And so at Burning Man, it came out. And that's when I was like, oh my God, like I need to explore this.
Like you didn't know how much it meant.
Yeah, it meant so much to me. And so that was how I started dealing with my identity, was through my stand-up. And it was at Burning Man that like, I also wanted people to know that I was a comedian. I was like, you have to know this. Like, this is a part of me. And then I was like, okay, I think I want to do this. Like, and that was the moment I decided to become a stand-up comedian for real. So it all tied in. And then I left believing in God. This whole situation happened. And
if there were ever the best story in the world to end an episode on, I feel like it's that. Well, that's incredible. I mean, we just have to go to the lightning round. That is, what an incredible answer.
Thank you.
Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yes, let's go.
Wonderful. We'll cue the music. 5 questions. It's lightning round to say they're fast questions. They don't have to be fast answers. Take as much time as you need. I like to put on an index card. Makes me feel like I'm a late night talk show host.
I'm into it.
Okay. Question 1. What is a favorite ritual of yours? So for mine, it's making tea. What would be one for you?
Meditating before a show.
Lovely. How long do you do for?
Like 5-10 minutes.
Lovely.
Especially if it's a college show, I got to do like 5-10 minutes because you're doing an hour. So you got to like center.
You doing any crowd work at a college show?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My first college show.
Yeah.
I learned crowd work at a college show because I didn't know how to do it previously, which is so.
You're so.
I'm naturally good at it.
I was gonna say you're very amicable. Like I'm shocked that you wouldn't just like
I don't know.
Chat.
I think I was just in my head about it, and then I went to my first college show and I forgot every joke I'd ever written, and I was like,
and you're just like, so you like your sweater? Let's talk.
Let's talk about that. What class are you in? Wow.
What's your favorite meal on campus?
Exactly.
Okay. Question 2.
Yes.
What is a running bit with a friend or partner that makes you laugh?
My sister and I were driving back from Lake Powell to LA. And we stopped in this like podunk town, and we were sitting in the car just right outside a gas station, and we watched these 2 cowboys walk up to each other, and they're very like rugged, hardened men. And one guy goes, "You Randy?" Another guy goes, "I'm Randy." "You Bill?" He goes, "I'm Bill." And that has been a running joke for 2 goddamn years. It is so funny. I will just like be with my sister, and I'm like, "You Randy?" She goes, "I'm Randy." "You Bill?" I say, "I'm Bill." I don't know why. It's so funny.
Dying to have been there when this happened. Were they like, when you say cowboys, I mean, were they like wearing like hats? And
they were wearing hats and buckles and boots. And but it was just, they were so monotone and just like, "That's who you are. That's who I am.
That's what I do.
That's
who I am. That's what I do."
Well, they must have like met off Craigslist. I don't know what's going on, but it was beautiful.
I don't know if cowboys are on Craigslist.
I'm sure they were selling a tractor or something.
Like Dwayne's list.
Probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Question 3, and you kind of already did this, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Can you do an impression of one or both of your parents?
Yeah, but you know what? I'm so good at impressions, except for my parents. My parents.
You did a great one of your dad.
You don't know my dad. He doesn't sound like that.
Okay.
So they're always like, I don't sound like that. And I'm like, yeah, but I can't do your accent. I can do anyone's accent. Like,
But you can't. Does your mom have a thicker or less thick accent than your father?
they don't even have this thick of accent.
Oh, the way you did it sounds very thick.
Hold on. So my mom's like, it's different when I can tell that she's talking in front of like Americans or what, like English speakers. Because she'll be like, I want to do this. Okay, yeah. All right.
She code switches.
Yeah. She's like, okay, yep. I'll see you home later. Okay. Now I can't do it.
Listen, it's okay. Question 4, have you ever experienced imposter syndrome? And if so, was there a particular moment that really rings to you about it?
I think I recently started getting over my imposter syndrome.
Mazel tov. I'm not there, but I'm with it. Yeah.
When I first started writing, when the whole Family Guy thing happened.
Yeah.
I had complete imposter syndrome. I was like, are you, what? No, me? No. And then it fell through and I was like, see?
I don't think so.
I told you she was an imposter.
Another good one.
Thank you. Yeah, a lot of times, like when I would get flown out to international shows, I was like, they don't even know I'm not even that good. Wow. They just think I'm good because of social media. And I would explain myself too. I was like, yeah, see, it's because I used to work in marketing that people think I'm more successful than I am, but then nobody really knows how unsuccessful I am, which is crazy because I know I'm good, but
your success is all in your own eyes. I mean,
yeah.
You can't control the perception of anyone. And if they choose to perceive you as someone who's funny, what are you going to go and disagree? You're going to be like,
that's true.
Well, I know you think that you like me, but I want you to know that you don't.
100%. Like, yeah. I tend to get imposter syndrome when it's like a fundraiser show or something that feels more like specific. I don't know how to explain this. Like,
I won't raise money for children. I'm not that good.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm like. You think I'm a professional. I'm not really a professional, but I am a professional. So I don't know what I'm.
There is a wonderful comic named Jet Eveleth, and she was a sketch performer in Chicago. She's incredibly talented. I think she lives in Portland now, but she's truly one of the best improv and just comedic performers I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I was chatting with her and she goes, what is your dream? I said, my dream is to be a comedic writer and performer. And she's like, oh, that's awesome. She was like, that's really cool. She said, you're at Second City, right? I was like, yeah. She's like, you're on one of the house teams? I was like, yeah. She goes, God, how often do they make you perform? I was like, a lot. And she was like, how many sketches do you have to write a week? And I was like 3, 4, like a ton. And she's like, when you're not there, you're at IO, aren't you? I was like, yeah, I perform a lot at IO. She's like, yeah. Doing a lot of improv there. You perform a lot there. I said, yeah. And she goes, and I think you write a bunch of pilots, didn't you? I was like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I write a lot of those. She was like, okay, so you said your dream is to be a comedic writer and performer. Anyone around can see that you are a comedic writer and performer.
Yeah.
One day you're going to catch up with everybody else's perception of you, and it's going to be a really good moment for you.
Wow, that's incredible.
It was amazing.
You get really good advice, dude.
Yeah, right?
This is amazing.
I mean, I don't know what Jet's doing now, but man, find her. She was so good.
That's so cool.
And she said it so matter-of-factly that she was very confident that that's what I was, that it gave me the confidence the next time someone asked me what I did.
Yeah.
Because she asked me what I did. I said, I'm in sales. And she goes, I didn't ask what you do for a living. I asked what it is that you do.
That's amazing.
And so the next time someone asked me what I do, I said, I'm a comedic writer and performer.
That's the same thing that happened to me at Burning Man. People were like, oh, so like, where are you from? And I was like, well, I have to give you the story. We're like, well, what do you do? And I was like, I'm a comedian. I had just started, but I was like, for some reason it came out and I was like, yeah. And I was like, that's what I do. Yep. I don't care if I'm making enough money. That's what I'm doing.
Great.
So, well, I think we had a healthy amount of that, but some people are like, I'm a comedian. I'm like, no, you're fucking not.
Yeah.
You're
like, listen, I believe in this, but you specifically, you're not.
I was like, you should stop. No, never quit your dreams.
You quit now. Final question. This is how we wrap up the podcast. I know you actually like tea. What is your favorite tea?
I like lavender and rose stuff right now.
I love that.
And chai.
Great answers. Thank you so much for coming. How do you feel?
Thank you. I feel great. I'm sorry I talked a lot.
Oh my God, I loved it. This
was fantastic.
You are officially a friend of the pod. I hope you come back.
Thank you. I shall. Okay. And we'll have more tea.
I would love that. We'll do a different one. We'll do a lavender one next time.
Okay, great.
That was Reem Edan. You can follow Reem on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube at Reem Edan. Steep Conversations is produced and edited by Lucas Marshka. Our theme song and additional music are by Oliver Hymack. Our cover art was done by Neil Fraser with photography by Matt Mazisco. Social media by Dia Villegas. Please write a review and rate our podcast on Apple Podcasts and wherever else you can. You can send any questions, comments, newly friend game suggestions, or tea suggestions to steepcombos@gmail.com or tweet us at steepcombos. I'm Josh Lanzette, and you can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Josh Lanzette. We'll be back next week, so until then, happy steeping.